right, welcome to Strength for Today's Man. This is volume 23, and I want to go ahead and get this out the way now. Remember to pick up a journal for the women. In the heart of a woman, there is greatness. Make this day great. A notebook journal for her. Also, there's one for men as well. In the heart of a man, there is greatness. Never, ever give up. Notebook journal for him. And the other one, the last one, is prayer journal for men. There it is. Boom. Prayer journal for men. You guys can pick that up on Amazon.com. There will be a link in the description below. Thank you guys for liking, as usual, for sharing and subscribing. And now, right up there on the top right corner of your YouTube channel up there, see that little bell? Click that bell and you'll be notified whenever we upload a brand new video. All right, let's get in it. Let's get to it. It's a great day today. We've actually had some weather warnings, so I'm going to stay indoors today. Let's go to Exodus 3, 10 and 11. This is a good one. I like this. It says, "Go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." But Moses said to God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Let's entitle this one, "Why Me?" Why me? That's a good question. I've asked that of myself a few times. Why me? Why am I being called for this? Why am I being assigned this? Why? Why? What's so special about me that I'm chosen for this particular job? Have you ever felt ill-equipped to perform a duty or a task? You just didn't feel like you had it all together in order to perform a task or a duty. Perhaps it was experiencing it during a tense conversation with a family member, because we all know some family members will really make you feel like you're not equipped for a job or an assignment. Maybe it was your first day on a position. You know, you've been promoted to a manager and now you're like, okay, now what do I do? I feel so ill-equipped for this position. But the wonderful thing about it is you don't have to worry about any of that. Even if it was to the point of walking out of a hospital after a loved one or a family member or a parent died, you can feel so lost and unprepared for what's getting ready to happen, for what you got to do, for what you were assigned to do. Whether you're experiencing it now or you see it coming in the future, the question that seems to resonate in our minds is, am I really up to the task? Am I up for this position? Am I up for what is about to happen? I don't know much. I don't have that much education. I don't have that much money. I'm not well spoken. I'm just me, regular. That hits a lot of us. But I'm here to assure you and to reassure you, you don't need, even though it's nice, you don't need to have all of the 3-letter acronyms behind your name in order to be qualified for a particular work. You really don't. You don't have to be a pastor. You don't have to be a bishop. You don't have to be an apostle. You don't have to be a prophet. You don't have to be a minister. You don't have to be an elder. You don't have to be any of those things in order for God to use you in a great way. Man is so concerned about the positioning in the kingdom of God that they lose sight of what the mission really is all about. And the one thing that seems to haunt many of us is, am I really up for this? Can I do this? And why me? It was fear that really plagued Moses' mind as God called him to lead the Israelites to freedom. That's pretty much what it was. It was fear. And in a way, when you look at it, Moses' concern wasn't unfounded. Because look at him. Go back and look in Exodus and read about Moses and who he was. He really wasn't up for the task. He wasn't anybody special. He really wasn't. He was just a regular old guy with issues, with problems. He stuttered. If you look at Exodus 4:10, you'll see where he told God he stuttered. He had a problem stuttering. So when you think that you can't get up and speak in front of a crowd because you stutter, that's not an excuse. When you get up in front of a crowd and think that you don't have the education, that's not an excuse. It's an excuse for you, but that's not an excuse for God to use you. God looks past your stuttering. He looks past your education. He looks past how good you look. And Moses was even a murderer. He was a murderer. He skipped town because he killed an Egyptian over in Hebrew. And that's over there in Exodus 2:12. And his resume, look at his resume. His resume didn't even fit the role that God was calling him to fill. That's a revelation right there. Many times you're going to be called and your resume is not going to be up to par. Many times you're going to be called and you're not going to be qualified for the position. Many times you're going to be called and you are not the right person in man's eyes for the job. And I am so glad that God doesn't look at it the way man looks at it. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Did you hear me on that? Did you catch that? That was deeper than many of you realize. God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. If he called all of those that are qualified, there would be many of us just sitting around doing nothing. But I'm so glad that he calls many of us that are not qualified, that are not educated. We don't have the right amount of acronyms behind our name. Oh, I'm MBA, I'm PhD, I'm Dr. So-and-so. He doesn't care about any of that. Man cares about that. Now, I'm not knocking any of that. Go out there and get your education. Get as much education as you can handle. Good for you. I'm like, go for it. But that should not stop you when God calls you. Because if God called you, he's qualifying you. He's already qualified you. Take some time to survey your life. Whether today, tomorrow, next week, whenever, take some time to survey your life. Where do you have an inkling of insecurity? What is your insecurity? Is it in a particular friendship? Is it in a particular relationship? Is it possibly at work? Is it in the ministry? Is it at church? Wherever it is, what is it that's keeping you from doing what God is calling you to do? Wherever it is, know that God is there with you and he's there for you. And as you seek him out, you know what he's going to do? He's going to guide every step of the way. God is going to work it out. He's going to walk it out. He's already instructed where you should go. It's already planned. It's already done. All you got to do is just trust him, believe him, and just walk in it. Yeah, it's easy to say that. It's real easy to say that. But when the rubber meets the road, are you getting traction? Are you going anywhere? Trust God, not man. Man says you're not qualified. Man says you don't have enough education. Man says you're not smart enough. Man says you're not good looking enough. Man says you're too fat. Man says you're too skinny. Man says you can't pronunciate words. That's man. But when you look at it, it's not man that's calling you. It's God that's calling you. And I'm going to close with this. God, I confess I doubt your abilities to use me. Help me to trust you. Help me to believe that you want to use me. God, why me? Because apparently God saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. This is Strength for Today's Man, Volume 23. Please be sure to pick up those journals and may God bless you today. And you guys go out there and make it a great day. We'll see you on the next episode. Be blessed.